What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here with Dylan of TheBottomLineView. We're here to preview one of the best teams in the AFC. And in my opinion, spoiler alert, the team that I am picking to win the AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts. Might as well just wrap up the video, close down the window, or just, move on. But the Indianapolis Colts, Andrew Luck, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Frank Reich, I'm very high on as a head coach. They had a phenomenal season last year after Andrew Luck coming back from injury. We didn't know what to expect. Was he going to be great? Was he going to be bad? We don't know. He comes back, 39 touchdowns, Dylan of TheBottomLineView, second most in the NFL. That's ridiculous. This season. And that offensive line came out of absolutely nowhere. Quentin Nelson and that offensive line was phenomenal. The team has improved, in my opinion, on paper. High expectations from Colts fans. Of course, this is a fan base that has seen many Peyton Manning teams now, Andrew Luck era. They're used to winning. They want to see a Super Bowl, Dylan of TheBottomLineView. What do you think of the Indianapolis Colts in 2019?
This is one of my favorite teams in the NFL right now in terms of record, in terms of playoff hopes, in terms of players. I really like what this team's got to offer for me. Let's go through their roster real quick. Wide receiver, I think, is one of their most lacking positions, in my opinion. If I got to say one weakness here to start off, which is hurtful, T.Y. Hilton, he's a little bit injury inconsistent, and I think he has been kind of overrated in terms of receiver rankings, but he's still pretty well. Devin Funchess, let's see if he can earn that contract, because I like a one-year contract. 13 mil is a little bit of money, but we'll see how it goes. I still like it. Chester Rogers, they used him well. I wish they would use him a little bit more. Offensive line, I think this is a top 5 offensive line. They really improved, really impressed in 2018. Quentin Nelson, absolute monster with that first-round draft pick for the Colts. Really like that they were able to get that accomplished. And they've got some guys that you probably might not have heard of, but are still really good talents here on the offensive line position. Tight end, Eric Ebron coming into the season we thought was going to be a joke. Why are they trading for him? And then he had the most touchdowns last season by a tight end. So I think he worked pretty well for himself. I think he was ready for a bounce back. He did a great job. I think he's going to be a great target in 2019. And Jack Doyle is not a bad second tight end. So that's all things considered. Andrew Luck absolutely went out in the gates in 2018. It started off kind of rough. Remember, they were 1-5 in 2018. We're like, I don't know if this team's going to make the playoffs, but they really just pushed it forward. And Andrew Luck was the biggest. So many great moments, so many great plays, was able to lead them to the divisional round. And I think they've got one of the more underrated running backs in the entire NFL with Marlon Mack there and Nyheim Hines as the backup. Really solid 1-2 combo there. On the defense, one of the more underrated defenses in the game. I really like the talent that they have here. Jabal Sheard at their defensive end position. We got Justin Houston coming in, so we'll see how he comes in. Obviously one of the best defensive players in the mid-2010s, but we'll see how that goes here. Darius Leonard had a fantastic over 150 tackle season last year in his rookie year. Absolutely crazy numbers from him. Pierre Desir at the cornerback, fantastic. And Malik Hooker, one of my favorite free safeties in the game. So on an overall talent level, this team is stacked. They got a lot of young, great pieces. And with Andrew Luck's health out of the way, we're 100% looking forward to the future. I think this team is set up for great success. And we talked about how this division has a really difficult schedule. But in this case, I was looking at the Colts more often than not, be like, yeah, I think they're the better team than this one. I can expect to win here. I can expect to win here, and I can expect to win here. I couldn't say that about the other 3 teams in AFC South. So if there's any indication that who I think is going to win this division, here you go. But I look at their schedule, and I'm not as clingy about, can they win this game? Can they win this game? I'm more sold on some of these teams versus the others. So I really like what the Colts bring here. One of the best talented rosters in the league, in my opinion, and just a lot of great stuff we have here with the Colts.
The Indianapolis Colts as an organization, I think, is the one that you look at, and it's on the rise the most. Of course, at the top of the list, you have the Patriots, and you have the Eagles, in my opinion, in terms of, quarterback, head coach, GM, infrastructure is really great. The Colts are arguably the 3rd team on that list right now. When you look at Chris Ballard as their GM, the way he's built this team through the draft, the pieces he's added to this team in a short order. You look at Frank Reich as a head coach who's arguably already a top 10 coach, very creative on the offensive side of the ball, just seems to have a demand over this football team. And then even the supporting cast members like Matt Eberflus as the defensive coordinator did a fantastic job last year with a defense that I thought was undermanned. And he kind of, within his scheme, which is heavy cover two, heavy zone coverage, he elevated a lot of these talents where we really got to see what they were made of. Whether it was Marcus Hunt on the defensive line had a nice season for himself, or Tyquan Lewis, or Autry, or Anthony Walker at linebacker. You brought up Pierre Desir, who came out of absolutely nowhere to have a solid season. Quincy Wilson had a good season. Kenny Moore. So actually, this is, you said it, a defense specifically, and even a team that from a casual NFL perspective, not a lot of players with big names, because they've kind of been brought up through their system, draft picks, a lot of them, the last couple of seasons. But they're very much developing a chemistry as a football team. Jabal Sheard and Justin Houston is one of the more underrated edge presence in the NFL in terms of pass rushing duo. I think this team is going to be very good. I think this team is going to take a step up from last season. Now, the record may indicate a little bit different. Were they 10-6 last season?
Yes, 10-6.
I have them at 11-5.
Okay.
It may not seem like a huge difference, but again, I brought up in every other video for the AFC South. If you haven't checked them out, check them out. This schedule for every team in this division is insanely difficult. Mm-hmm. So that being said, 11-5 is a compliment, because the first week of the season, you don't have an easy game. You play in LA against the Chargers, the Titans in Tennessee. That's a divisional game. You play Atlanta, you play Kansas City in Kansas City, you play Houston, you play in Pittsburgh, you play the Jags twice, the Titans again, the Texans in Houston, you play in New Orleans, you play Carolina. So this is a difficult schedule. Now, some of them are at home, so that's nice. But Andrew Luck is such a beast. Like, whenever he's healthy, this team is going to be good. I have no doubt about it. But then you add all the players around him with a top 5 offensive line. Like you brought up, Marlon Mack, who's a pretty good running back within this system. T.Y. Hilton, who I believe's a top caliber receiver, Dilly Vanilli. Devin Funchess, I think, is actually going to be an upgrade for their wide receiver group. He's a bigger body, kind of a red zone presence that I think they needed last year. And Paris Campbell is a playmaker with the ball in his hands. I think Frank Reich will use him in creative ways. It's a matter about how far they make it in the playoffs, and we're not going to really necessarily give you that right now. But overall, I'll speak for myself, see them going to the Super Bowl. I don't want to say that that's going to happen. It could happen. So I think that's how high I am on this football team, especially because I'm a Patriots fan. That is saying a lot, Colts fans. So there you go. Colts are a very good football team. I have them at 11-5. Dilly Vanilli, where's your record at?
Are you going to give a seed, or are we're gonna leave that to the fans there?
I have them as the 3rd seed.
Okay. Well, I have them as 12-4, and that is the 2nd seed. I have one team that is higher. I think this, by the way, that's also on tiebreakers. There is another team I have there. This Colts team is great. I think 12-4 is where I'm going to stand with this team right now. A lot of hard teams, but like I said, I'm more firm on this is a win. This is a win. This is a win for this team than I was on some of these other teams in this conference. So I really like what they're bringing here. The future is bright. I will not give my prediction, but I will say that they are definitely a Super Bowl contender. I will put that out there. There's no doubt about that. They got a lot of this great talent that throughout 16 games, some of these teams can't keep everybody healthy, or they're getting slow towards the end of the year. I think the Colts are going to march through, and they need to make a presence, and I think they will. 12-4 is my record, 2nd seed in the AFC.
How far do you think the Indianapolis Colts can go this playoffs? Let us know in the comments section below. Do you see them as a team that's on the rise? Do you think they'll take a step back from last season? What do you think of what Ballard's doing as the GM? Do you think Andrew Luck's going to win MVP? Any of these questions, answer them in the comments section below. Gronk spike the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's Mitch and Dylan. This has been your Colts 2019 team preview. Peace out.
Peace.